First off, I wanted to say thank you for the support that you all have been giving me and this podcast. I really appreciate what we're building here. If the show is helping you, join our Patreon page. The blueprint here will get you a full technical video library plus open mat audio, real breakdowns I record after class, a more analytical look for training than what we're doing here. Again, thank you for everything. Now let's get started. Welcome to Tap Dan. My name is David Figueroa-Martinez of DFM Coaching, and today we're going to be discussing entertainment versus efficiency. I recently came across a post, and I mean no disrespect to the person who posted it, but I came across this post, and part of the argument was that at the highest levels, or the advanced jiu-jitsu and grappling, there are no dominant positions. And I pushed back, and my thought process is this. I think we spend a bit too much time in analyzing what's happening at the highest level and what's happening at the elite, the pro level, what's happening at Fight to Win, ADCCs, worlds and whatnot. Specifically, maybe not worlds, but I'm more specific to the pro scene. And we think that that is what jiu-jitsu should be or what it should look like in efficiency. We have to understand that a lot of this is driven by entertainment. The same way, I think, in my opinion, MMA, the most effective MMA is going to be the most boring MMA fight. You watch the UFC, and if they're not banging it out on their feet, the crowd starts to boo. The minute someone gets a clinch, puts it up against the cage, gets to a safe distance where there's no longer this mega exchange of punches and blows and kicks, the crowd boos. And if they do a takedown and they get to top side or even mount or whatever other position on the ground, the crowd again boos. We have to understand that there is a difference between what's entertaining and what's entertainment and what's efficient. And those two things do not live in the same space most times. What we might see on the pro level in no-gi, ADCCs, Fight to Win, and all these other various promotions, UFC, BJJ, is something that is pushed to entertain, to get broadcast demands and sponsors, and to get crowd engagement. And what does that is movement. Movement gets us going. It blows on top of that, but in a setting where there are no strikes, it's movement, it's scrambles, it's faster pace. And so promotions are going to push towards that. They're going to sign players and practitioners that are focused on movement and driving the action. So then that, because of the rule set, then gives a artificial view of what we should be doing. Jiu-jitsu is about control and being like an anaconda. You get on the ground. Once you get to the top position, you suffocate with pressure, slow moving pressure. My old instructor used to call it a slow moving avalanche, which has always stuck in my head. And then you tire them out, cook them for a bit, you drain them. And then when you get to a certain position where you know they don't have a whole lot of fight back left in them, and then you submit. That is what jiu-jitsu is supposed to be. That's the most efficient form of jiu-jitsu. It's the jiu-jitsu that keeps you safe. It's the jiu-jitsu that doesn't tire you out as much. It's the form of jiu-jitsu that is going to give you high levels of submission rates and less injuries and whatnot. The version that we see on TV or on YouTube is more for your entertainment. So as practitioners, us, and people that are recreational / hobbyists or whatever you want to call us, we can't look at that group of people and be like, that's the type of jiu-jitsu or that is jiu-jitsu. That is a form of it. The same way that judo is no longer judo. When you look at judo in the Olympics, you can't grab the legs anymore. There's a bunch of stuff, a bunch of rules in there that forbid certain types of takedowns. Wrestling isn't really part of the equation anymore. And when you get to the ground, everything is truncated to a certain amount of time. And if you are not executing a submission rapidly, they're going to stand you up. That's not what judo used to be or what judo was supposed to be. It has become that because of the rule set. The same is starting to happen with jiu-jitsu. And yes, it's exciting. It's far more fun to watch than two people doing what I'm explaining. But we just have to equate the two. One is sport and one is sport elite, if that makes sense. Like, I know I'm not doing a lot of self-defense. I get it. It does not interest me as much. It's in there, but it's not the thing that I want to do when I go to the gym. I want to do sport jiu-jitsu. It's fun. But I'm also not doing it at that level where I'm negating all my control levels and all my controls in the form of jiu-jitsu that breaks people down with pressure. I don't want to scramble. I'm 45. I don't want to scramble. So my view of the game is different. And I think that when we are looking at these people, we have to actually have that lens as well. We cannot look at this and be like, oh, advanced jiu-jitsu doesn't have dominant positions. And maybe I'm misconstruing the entire message or what he was trying to say. But in reading it, it doesn't it doesn't hold weight to me. And I think that too many of us are looking at the advanced players, specifically in no-gi and the pro level, and thinking that's what it's supposed to look like. And it's not. That's what it looks like under those rule sets, under the TV lights, under the rules that say you need to be exciting. But the actuality where I'm trying to be the most efficient, it looks very different. There's far less movement. I'm getting to top positions. I don't want to play guard longer than I need to. And when I get to those positions, I want to wreck you. I want to destroy you with pressure, weight, and minute movements to the point where I get what I want. And when I get there, you're going to hand it to me. That's the art of jiu-jitsu. But I understand that we have skill sets out there that are going to create something different. We just need to understand that it doesn't equal efficiency. And in large part, because we're looking at it that way, I think that it's creating kind of like a distortion field around the art where we think that, oh, I got to be fast. I got to be super strong. I got to have a really high cardio level. I got to do all this other stuff. And I have to push the pace. And what it creates is, because the rule set then create how we train, then it affects what we're emphasizing. So then we don't learn how to control bodies very well. When you watch UFC BJJ, for example, I love the pit. I'm not a fan of the UFC being involved in anything jiu-jitsu related, but that's another story for another day. But when I'm watching them, and I get it, part of it is no-gi, but there is so much open space everywhere. There's so many scrambles. There's so much movement, and the art within that skill set is I need to catch something in the transition. So because I understand that that's what I'm fighting for, and that's the way I'm training, because that's the rule set, then I'm going to de-emphasize control. I'm going to de-emphasize slow building pressure. And part of that is because we're now entertaining people. We're now putting on a product, and the more exciting I am, the more people will know me, the more clicks I get, the more follows I get, the bigger my audience, bigger my reach, the more likely I am to get a title shot, get a bigger payday, and so on. That is the game that they're playing. That is not the game the rest of us are playing. The majority of us are playing. So because we then think that's the game, then we then play that game. And we don't emphasize controls, weight, pressure. We don't emphasize top positions. We don't emphasize base. We don't emphasize the importance of forcing things to happen or things to be given to us. Instead, we're catching things in movement. And there's nothing wrong with that game. Great. If that's the game you play and that's the game that you've chosen to play, then beautiful. It's more power to you. But I think it needs to be understood that that's not the game. That's a version of the game. And that's a game that we can choose to play if that's our skill set and we have high uh, cardio load and we just love playing that fast pace. Great. But what happens to everyone when we get a little older? We come right back to the thing that is most efficient and most high success, and that is control. So at some point, you're going to have to learn control, whether you're playing this game because you're competing in that game, in that rule set, or because you're idolizing those people who are playing that game and then you think that that's the game to play. Two different things. But eventually, you become 40, 43, 45, 50. That game is, I don't want to say useless, but it's not available anymore. It's not as readily available for you because of your body type and your aging. And the more movement that there is, the more likelihood of an injury. So then you start learning controls all over again, if you learned them at all. So I came in at 30. We didn't have these pro circuits for people to get into. We had the IBJJF. I think there were a couple of other smaller things that are around. 80 cc's, I'm pretty sure was still around. I don't quite necessarily remember. But jiu-jitsu was different. The emphasis was, and from what I remember, and someone out there will be like, oh no, this is not true. That's fine. But from what I remember was more about control. It was more about getting top position, getting the things that you wanted to get, and then finishing the bout. That was what we did. And I've watched more and more people kind of deviate from that and get into more of the scrambles. And then as they've aged with me, then they've started to get back into the more controls. Because again, that's a young man's game. And if you're competing at that level, then great, more power to you. But again, jiu-jitsu is supposed to be about efficiency. It's supposed to be about controls and in dominating the position. So when you get a little older, you realize I can't keep up. I can't keep doing the things that I was doing at one point. All of my peers that were on that road have all deviated right back to what it is that I'm doing. And I'm not saying that I'm the reason or that I'm taking credit for any of it. I just understood that I wasn't going to be a competitor. I understood that I wasn't going to be at that level. And I also understood that when I approached jiu-jitsu and I got into it at 30, that my prime was waning. I understood that, hey, 40 is around the corner. If I want to do this long term, I have to build a game that allows me to grow into aging gracefully. And I didn't want to build a game that I had to reinvent. And I've never had to reinvent my game. I've had to add to it. I've had to become more efficient. But nothing about my game that I started earlier is all that different, to be honest with you. I'm still a Kimura guy. I'm still a butterfly guy. I'm still X-guard. Play a little bit of spider. I'm still a heavy pressure. Those are things that I'm still doing. And I if I want to be honest, I have yet to master. But I'm in a position where I've spent most of my time doing that. So this isn't an episode shitting on the pros. It's not an episode shitting on that person's comment. I think it's just we have this fallacy and this weird, almost love affair with the pros, thinking that that's the way things are supposed to be done. Because we might look at other sports that way too. If you look at basketball gets played a certain way, regardless. It is basketball. If you look at baseball is just baseball. There is no well, if I'm old, I'm going to play it this way. It just is what it is. With jiu-jitsu, you have such a wide gap of what the practitioners can do, what the art is really emphasizing we should do, and then what we see at the highest level. And sometimes because what's at the highest level gets the most eyeballs, we think it's the most effective, and we think that it's the way to play the game. And it's really not. It's a way. I'm hoping this made some sense. Again, I'm not trying to shoot on anyone. I just think we have a lens that we need to clean up a little bit. If you have any questions on this or anything else just related, please hit me up. dfm.2099 on Instagram and Threads. If you like the podcast, please like, share, subscribe, rate. Goes a long way for us. Additionally, I have a Patreon page, quite a bit of free content on there. My entire library is behind one of the tiers. I have exclusive episodes that are geared by subscriber questions and issues. So it's very homegrown and specific to what they're going through. And then I have some direct coaching if you're into that. Until next time, thank you so much.